People always say life is short. At 68, I've learned it's also painfully complicated. You wake up with one set of thoughts, then lie down at night wondering how everything changed so fast. I used to think I was grounded, someone who had it all figured out. But plans? They shift faster than the fabric colors in my store. My name's Meryl, and I live in Livewood, a town you won't see on postcards. It's the kind of place where the grocery clerk remembers your bread preference and strangers still wave even if they don't know your name. 30 years ago, my husband Lloyd and I picked Livewood for its quiet predictability, a place to raise kids, grow old, and not fear the future because, honestly, not much ever changed. I've managed Elmer's Fabrics for 25 years. Funny enough, there was never an Elmer. Mr. Gardner, the owner, just thought it sounded homey. And homey it is. People come in for thread but stay to spill their hearts. I've heard stories of cheating husbands, rebellious teenagers, and aging parents. I'm less a manager and more the town's unofficial therapist with a fabric counter instead of a couch, gray hair instead of a diploma. Lloyd died 4 years ago. Heart attack. Right there in our garage while changing the oil in our old Ford. We'd been married 45 years. His absence still echoes through the house when I catch myself making dinner for two or turn to say something to him and remember, too late, that he's gone. The house we bought together, a 2-story with a yard full of apple trees, Lloyd planted, is still mine. Still standing. Still too big for one. The apples still fall every fall, but no one eats the jam like they used to. Too much space. Too many memories. I have 2 daughters. Paisley, my oldest, is all practicality and grit. She runs her own hair salon in town, married to Ezra, who sells insurance, 2 teenage kids. She's always known where she was going and got there without asking for directions or help. Then there's Dylan. She's 38 but feels forever 17. A dreamer, a drifter. Her hair's been every color on the wheel. She's started and dropped more things than I can, count majors, jobs, apartments. Divorced. Raising her son Frank alone. Sweet boy. 10 years old. With Lloyd's green eyes and Dylan's wild blonde hair. Every Wednesday and Saturday, Frank stays with me. We bake cookies, do homework, dig in the garden. It's the brightest part of my week. But every time Dylan shows up late after work, tired, eyes heavy, and they both walk off into the dark toward the bus stop, something inside me cracks. The peace I spent a lifetime building feels paper thin. Because when Dylan knocks on my door unexpectedly, I know it's not for a visit. It's because something's gone wrong again. And this time, I have a sinking feeling. The life I've held onto so tightly is about to slip right through my fingers. It was a Thursday, not one of her usual days. I'd just sat down with a cup of tea when the doorbell rang, and the second I opened the door and saw Dylan standing there alone, Frank, I knew she needed money. She walked in like someone carrying invisible weights, trying to smile but failing miserably. She looked older that day, not in years, but in wear. Life had frayed her edges. Her coat was damp, her hair pulled back, with the kind of carelessness that meant she'd given up trying that morning. We sat in the kitchen, tea in front of us. She talked about the weather, her new haircut, Frank's grades. She was stalling. Then she stopped stirring her tea and said it like ripping off a Band-Aid. "Mom, I'm really embarrassed, but I'm desperate." The words hung heavy in the room. A pipe burst. In the laundry room, our apartment flooded. Everything soaked. We had to move out. I found a new place, it's better, closer to Frank's school. But they need first month, last month, plus a deposit. That's $3,000. I only have $800. I nodded slowly, not because I agreed, but because I knew this dance too well. It wasn't the first time. 3 months ago, I paid for her car repairs. 5 months before that, helped with a backlog of utility bills. There had been others. I never kept count. Because she was my daughter, that had always been enough. But I'm not made of money. I'm a widow with a modest pension and a paycheck from a fabric store. I can't be a bottomless well. Dylan, sweetheart. I started cautiously. I'm not sure I can cover that right now. Maybe Gordon. She cut me off, eyes already misting. I asked him. He's between contracts again. Said he'll help in a month. But Frank and I, we're sleeping on my coworker's couch. It's been 3 nights, Mom. Frank can't sleep. He's failing his spelling tests. There was a pause, a deep, aching pause. And in that silence, I saw either face crumpling, not with anger, not with guilt, but fear. That same look she had when she was 5 and lost at the supermarket. When she was 17 and crashed her father's car. When she was 25 and told me she was pregnant, unsure if Gordon would stay. Some looks never change, just the reasons behind them. Is the new place nice? I asked, already knowing the checkbook was in the drawer behind me. It's better than the last one, she said quickly. 2 rooms. Frank would finally have his own space. And there's even a balcony we could put flower pots. Make it feel like home. She kept talking. I kept thinking of how many homes she'd tried to make, how many promises she couldn't keep, how Frank's little life kept getting packed and unpacked. All right, I said quietly. I'll help with the deposit, but Delanthus can't go on forever. She nodded through tears. I know. I got a weekend job. They promised me a raise soon. I'll pay you back. But I wasn't worried about the money. I was worried that this would be the last time I could keep them off the street. That night, I barely slept. I kept hearing her voice. Frank can't sleep. He's failing his spelling tests, looping through my head like a song stuck on repeat. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Every creak of the floorboards felt louder without Lloyd. Every shadow felt heavier with the thought of Dylan and Frank sleeping on someone else's couch, just a few blocks away. By morning, I had made up my mind. I pulled out the old manila folder from the cabinet where we kept birth certificates, the mortgage papers, our will, and I called Roger Pratt. He'd known Lloyd and me for over 30 years, helped us buy the house, set up our modest affairs. His voice cracked with warmth when he picked up. Meryl, dear, what can I do for you? I need to transfer the house, I said, to Dylan, but with conditions. Silence. Then a quiet, okay, let's talk this through. I sat in his cramped little office 2 days later, surrounded by piles of folders, the scent of dust and coffee lingering in the air. I want to give her the house, I said, but I want to retain the right to live there for the rest of my life. Roger nodded, tapping his pen. You're talking about a deed of gift with lifetime occupancy. It's doable. But you should know once the house is in her name, legally, she can sell it, mortgage it, even rent it out. Your right to stay would remain, but everything else, she'd control. I stared at the papers in front of me, pages filled with legal jargon and tiny numbers. All I saw were Frank's eyes, tired and confused, a child who deserved better. I understand, I said. Roger leaned back. Forgive me, Meryl. Speaking not as your lawyer but as your friend. Are you sure Dylan is ready for this kind of responsibility? He wasn't wrong to ask. Dylan had never been steady, but maybe, just maybe, this was what she needed to finally grow roots. A foundation. A second chance. I think she needs this, I said firmly. And it's not just for her. It's for Frank. Roger sighed. All right. We'll draw up the papers. You'll sign next week. I left his office with a strange calmness, like I had finally done something I'd been avoiding for years, given Dylan something solid to stand on, given Frank a chance at normalcy. But as I walked home, a tiny thought slipped into my mind like a splinter under skin. Was this the act of a mother doing the right thing? Or the mistake of someone too desperate to protect what she loves? I didn't know the answer. Not yet. All I knew was this. I was about to give away the most valuable thing I owned, not just a house, but the life built within it for the hope that maybe, just maybe, it would finally be enough. I planned the moment carefully. I wanted it to feel like a celebration, not a transaction. Frank was staying with me for the weekend, and Dylan was coming by Friday evening to drop him off. I made her favorite casserole. I even baked an apple pie, the way Lloyd used to thin slices, plenty of cinnamon. I imagined how it would go. She'd sit down at the table, see the meal, and smile. I'd pour the tea. Then I'd tell her that the house was hers, that her future was safe, that for once she could stop running. But Dylan was 2 hours late. By the time she arrived, the casserole was dry, and half the pie was gone. Frank was in the kitchen, quietly working on a model airplane I'd bought him. He barely looked up when she walked in. "Sorry I'm late," she said, kissing my cheek, dropping her bag. She looked distracted. Her eyes were wide, her smile too quick. "I don't have much time tonight, Mom," she added. "I've got a meeting later." "A meeting? On a Friday night?" "Yeah. Work stuff." That was strange. But I let it go. We moved into the hallway so Frank wouldn't hear. I took a breath, then told her. "I transferred the house to your name," I said. "It's official. Roger helped with the paperwork. You own it now under the condition I live here for the rest of my life." For a second, Dylan just stared at me. "What?" she whispered. "You're kidding." "I'm not. It's yours. No more moving. No more couches. No more chasing cheaper rent. You and Frank can live here." She threw her arms around me so suddenly it startled me. "Mom, I don't know what to say. This changes everything." I felt her shoulders shaking. She was crying, and I let myself believe that maybe this was it, the turning point, the moment she'd finally find her way. That night, she stayed longer than usual, asked me about the roof when it was last repaired, the property taxes, the square footage, how much I thought the house was worth now. I answered every question, but something felt off. She wasn't asking like someone planning a move. She was asking like someone doing research. Still, I pushed that doubt aside. "You haven't told Paisley yet?" she asked. "Not yet. I figured we should tell her together." Dylan paused, then nodded. "Of course. Can we wait a little before telling anyone? I want time to process it, plan things out." I agreed, even though a small knot tightened in my stomach. She left with another hug, another thank you, another promise that things were finally turning around. But when the door closed behind her, I stood in the hallway longer than I needed to, staring at the framed photo of Lloyd on the wall. His eyes, frozen in that gentle smile, seemed to ask the question I wasn't brave enough to voice. Did I just give my daughter a lifeline? Or the match that would burn everything down? The week passed quietly. Too quietly. Dylan didn't mention moving in. She didn't bring up paint colors or furniture for Frank's room. No calls about when they might start packing or what school district Frank would transfer into. Instead, she texted questions. Strange ones. When was the last time the house was appraised? Does the fireplace still work? Are there any liens on the property? I told myself not to overthink it. Maybe she was just being thorough. Responsible, even. Maybe this was the new Dylan. Then Friday came. I got home from work, set my purse down, and froze. There was a car in my driveway I didn't recognize. A dark blue sedan. Sleek. Clean. Not Dylan's usual clunker. Voices floated from the living room. I walked in and saw her Dylan sitting on the couch with a man in a tailored suit. He was holding a tablet, stylus in hand. She had a notebook open. "Oh, Mom." Dylan jumped up. Her smile was quick and tight. "This is Mr. Kelfield. He's a real estate agent." I stared at her. Then him. "A real estate agent?" "He's just doing a quick walkthrough," she said too casually. "I wanted to get an idea of the market value." Mr. Kelfield stood and extended his hand. "Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Hollis. Lovely home you have here. Really great bones. Homes in this neighborhood are in high demand." I shook his hand, numb. My ears buzzed. "Dylan," I said carefully, "can I speak with you? In the kitchen." She followed me in, and the moment the door closed, I turned. What is going on? She avoided my gaze, fiddling with the edge of the counter. I told you, she said. I just wanted to understand what the house is worth. For planning. Planning what exactly? She sighed. The future, Mom. Mine. Frank's. This house is too big, too much for us to manage. But if I sell it, we could buy something smaller, maybe even debt-free, and still have money left for Frank's college. My stomach dropped. Dylan, I said slowly, I live here. You can't just sell the house. You have lifetime occupancy, she said almost defensively. That doesn't necessarily mean this house, just a place to stay. I already asked a lawyer. I stepped back, stunned. You talked to a lawyer? About removing me from my own home? It's not like that, she snapped. You're being dramatic. I stared at her. My daughter, the girl I used to rock to sleep, whose bandaged knees I kissed, whose mistakes I forgave over and over again. And now, she was standing in my kitchen planning my eviction with a stranger in a suit. She reached for my arm. It's for the best, Mom. You'd have your own apartment. No stairs. Close to town. I pulled away. Number, I'm not leaving. You can paint it, renovate it, appraise it, but I'm staying. She looked at me, and I saw it in her eyes. She'd already decided. This wasn't a discussion. It was a warning. Wednesday started like any other until I pulled into the driveway and saw the van. White. Lettering on the side. Creswell Interiors. Custom renovation and design. My stomach turned. I stepped inside, called out, but no one answered. From upstairs came voices. Loud thumps. The sound of scraping. I climbed slowly, hand tight on the banister, heart pounding. 2 men were in Paisley's old room, peeling wallpaper like it was just another job. One turned toward me, startled. Oh, sorry, ma'am, he said. Miss Hollis said we could get started today. Started? What? He pointed to a clipboard. Full interior refresh. Paint, floors, fixtures, all approved. I felt like the floor tilted under me. Stop. Stop everything. We were told. By my daughter, I cut in. And this is still my house. He hesitated. You'll need to take it up with her. I didn't respond. I turned and walked downstairs. Numb. I texted Dylan. Why did you send a crew to renovate my home without telling me? Stop this. 10 minutes later, her reply came. It's necessary for the sale. Don't interfere. It's all under control. I stood in the living room, surrounded by dust and plastic sheeting, and felt a foreign, horrifying truth settle in. She was really going to do it. That evening, she arrived with someone new. A man in a suit, late 40s, hair combed back, carrying a portfolio. Mom, she said brightly, this is Mr. Lang. He's interested in buying the house. I wanted him to see it before the renovations went too far. I didn't move, didn't smile. I just stared at her. You're showing our home to a buyer without telling me? She ignored the question. He really loves the backyard. There's room for a deck. Mr. Lang looked embarrassed. I didn't realize you were still living here. I am, I said coldly. This is my home. Dylan stepped forward. Mom, we talked about this. It's time to think practically. This house is too much for you. No, I said. We didn't talk. You decided. I turned to Mr. Lang. There will be no sale. Not while I'm here. He cleared his throat. Perhaps this isn't the right time. I'll be in touch. And he left. The door clicked shut behind him. Dylan's smile vanished. You're making this so difficult, she said sharply. Why can't you see that this is best for everyone? Everyone? You mean you? That's not fair, she snapped. Frank needs a future. I need stability. You're old, Mom. You shouldn't be climbing stairs. You're not worried about my safety. You're worried about cashing out. Silence. Then, soft like she was doing me a favor. I found you an apartment. Ground floor. It's already paid for. I stared at her. You planned all this? From the beginning? She didn't deny it. Thanks for the house, Mom, she said quietly, voice void of warmth. But I don't need you anymore. And in that moment, with plastic still covering my furniture, with strangers upstairs painting over my memories, I realized I had lost more than just four walls. I had lost my daughter. I don't remember how I got to the bus stop, or how I ended up on Paisley's front porch. The streetlights blurred as I walked. My keys trembled in my hand. My shoes were still dusty from the renovation mess Dylan had left all over my floor. I must have stood there for 10 minutes, frozen, before the door creaked open. Paisley stood in her apron, mid-dinner prep. Her face shifted instantly from confusion to alarm. Mom? I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. Only sobs. She didn't hesitate. She crossed the porch, wrapped her arms around me, and whispered, It's okay. It's okay. Come inside. She led me to the couch like I was a child again, covered me with a blanket. Tim peeked around the corner. Ruby appeared with a glass of water. Someone lit a lamp. Paisley brought tea. Honey and lemon, just like I used to make her when she was sick. She waited until I could breathe again. Then I said it. She's kicking me out, Paisley. Dylan is kicking me out of my own house. For a second, Paisley didn't react, just stared. Then she stood. No way. Tell me everything. All of it. Now. So I did. The renovations. The agent. The sale. The new apartment Dylan had picked out for me, like I was a problem to be filed away. When I told her about Dylan's final words, thanks for the house, but I don't need you anymore, Paisley's hands clenched into fists. I always knew she was selfish, she said, pacing. But this? This is monstrous. She says it's for Frank, I said quietly, that selling the house will pay for college, that I'll be safe in the apartment. Paisley's voice rose. Don't you dare defend her. She used you. She manipulated you. Again. I tried to speak, but she cut me off. No, Mom. I'm not letting this slide. I'm calling her. Right now. She reached for her phone, but I grabbed her wrist. Don't, I said. It won't change anything. The house is legally hers. She can't just evict you like that. She has. And legally, she can. I signed everything. I trusted her. Paisley sat beside me, breathing hard. Then you're staying here. We'll make space. The guest room is yours, as long as you need. Forever if you want. I opened my mouth to object, but she didn't let me. Mom, you are never a burden. You are our mother. You gave us everything. And this time, the tears came not from pain but from gratitude. That night, Ezra came home late. Paisley had already told him. He didn't say much, just hugged me hard. You'll stay here, he said. We'll figure the rest out. But even with their kindness, their warmth, their protection, I lay in that unfamiliar room, staring at the ceiling, wondering how my own daughter, the child I once rocked to sleep, could look me in the eye and throw me away like a piece of furniture she no longer needed. The next morning, Paisley made the call. Roger Pratt, our longtime family lawyer, met us in his office by noon. His face dropped the moment he saw me. Meryl, he said gently, I heard some rumors, but I didn't think they were true. They're true, Paisley said sharply. She kicked our mother out. We need to know what can be done. Roger motioned us to sit, already shuffling papers. I warned you, he said to me softly. The moment the deed was signed, the power shifted. You still have lifetime occupancy, but... He hesitated. But what? Paisley snapped. He sighed. The agreement didn't specify that Meryl had to live in that specific house. It just said she must be provided a place to stay. So yes, legally, Dylan can move her out. as long as she offers somewhere else to live. A one-bedroom apartment across town, I said quietly. No stairs, she said. Easy access to buses. Roger nodded grimly. Technically, she's fulfilled the condition. But emotionally, Paisley said, she's betrayed her mother. And what about the renovations? The buyers? Doesn't that count for something? Morally, it's disgusting, Roger agreed. But in court? It's clean. We walked out feeling colder than when we went in. Outside, a drizzle had started, gray and soft, almost polite in its cruelty. At the store, Eleanor, the owner, called me into the back room during lunch. Meryl, she said gently, if you need a few days to collect yourself. I shook my head. I need to work. It helps. She reached out and touched my hand. People are talking. This town, you know how it is. I nodded. I did know. By the end of the day, 3 customers had asked why I was no longer at my house. One had heard I was in the hospital. Another said I'd moved in with Paisley because Dylan got a promotion and needed space. I didn't correct them. That night, we got a call from Frank's school. The principal's voice was hesitant. Mrs. Hollis, Dylan's number isn't working. You're listed as emergency contact. Frankie refuses to go home. Says he won't get in the car with his mother. Paisley and I were in the car. Within 5 minutes. Frank sat on the front steps of the school, backpack hugged to his chest, eyes red. When he saw me, he ran into my arms without a word. I want to stay with you, Grandma, he whispered. Sweetheart, I said, brushing his hair back. Your mom's probably worried. She lied, he said. She told me we were moving to a better house. Then Jimmy's mom said she kicked you out. She made you leave. Before I could respond, Dylan's car screeched into the parking lot. She ran out, frantic. Frank, what are you doing? He wouldn't even look at her. Dylan turned to me. Can you talk to him? I stared at her. You don't need me, remember? Her face crumpled for just a second. Please. So I knelt beside Frank. You have to go with your mom tonight, I said softly. But this isn't over. I promise. He looked at me, eyes full of doubt. You always keep your promises. I do, I whispered. Even the hard ones. The call came 2 days later. Ezra answered the landline, something almost no one used anymore, and walked into the living room holding the receiver with a puzzled look. It's Dylan, he said. She's asking for you. I hesitated, then took the phone. Her voice was shaky, flat. Mom, he backed out. Who? Mr. Lang, the buyer. He's gone. He said he doesn't want to be part of a messy situation. Said something about bad energy, about karma. I sat down slowly. So the sale? Dead. He pulled his offer. I already spent part of the deposit on furniture for the new place. Ordered everything. It's non-refundable. 2 don't know what to do. My silence stretched. Mom, please say something. I told you, I said finally. You made your choice. Now you have to live with it. She let out a small, bitter laugh. I thought you'd say that. Later that afternoon, Roger called. I heard about the deal, he said. Dylan's in a bind. She's trying to list the house again, but the story's already spread. No one wants to touch it. Because of me? Because of how it looks, he said delicately. Livewood's small. Word travels. Buyers are superstitious. Banks even more so. That evening, Martha Dillon's coworker called me. I'm sorry to intrude, Meryl, she said hesitantly, but things aren't going well for her at work. Everyone knows. People are whispering. Management is reassessing her position. She did this, I said softly. Not me. I know, Martha said, but she's unraveling. 2 days later, Frank called, on his own. Grandma, he said quietly, can I come stay with you again? I sighed. Have you talked to your mom? She cries every night, he said. She thinks I don't hear, but I do. I paused. Sweetheart, she's trying, in her own way. She's tired, he whispered, and angry. At everyone, at me, at you, at herself. He didn't say it, but I could feel it. He didn't feel safe, not in the physical sense, but in the emotional storm she carried around. That night, Dylan came to Paisley's house. Unannounced. She looked like a different person, eyes hollow, clothes wrinkled, hair pulled back with no care. Paisley stiffened the moment she opened the door. What do you want? I just need to talk to Mom. I met her in the kitchen, alone. She didn't sit. I tried to get a loan, she said. The bank laughed, literally laughed, said I had no collateral, that I damaged the value of the property with negative press. I stayed quiet. Frank wants to live with Gordon, she said, voice cracking. He told me, out loud, said Dad doesn't yell, that Dad doesn't lie. She swallowed. I'm losing everything. I thought the house would fix it all, give us security, a future. But now, she looked up at me with bloodshot eyes. I don't even know who I am anymore. For a moment, I saw her again. Not the manipulator, not the schemer, but the little girl who used to beg me not to leave the room until she fell asleep. You broke something, Dylan, I said quietly. Something deep, and not just in me. She nodded, tears falling. But broken things, I added, can still be mended. If you're willing to bleed a little while you fix them. 2 weeks passed. Dylan didn't call. She didn't text. She vanished from the edges of my life, leaving behind silence and a house she no longer knew what to do with. Then, one night, just before midnight, the doorbell rang. Paisley opened it, and there she was. No makeup, no armor, hair damp from the rain, a bag in her hand, eyes swollen, her voice barely above a whisper. Can I see Mom? I met her in the living room. She didn't sit, just stood, like a child caught sneaking in after curfew. I came to give it back, she said. The house. Everything. My chest tightened. Why now? She took a breath. Because it doesn't matter anymore. I don't want a house built on lies, on hurt. I don't want Frank to remember me as the woman who threw his grandmother out to get ahead. She paused, blinking fast. I already lost his trust. I don't want to lose yours too. I nodded slowly. And what about you? Where will you go? She gave a small, broken laugh. I don't know, but I'll figure it out, this time without taking anything from you. There was a silence between us. Long, uncomfortable. Then I said it. Don't give it back. She looked up, startled. What? Keep it. The house is still yours. But this time let's share it. Her brow furrowed. After everything I did? After everything I forgave, I said. I'm not giving you permission. I'm giving you a second chance. She dropped the bag, sat down, and sobbed. Loud, messy, gasping sobs. The kind that only come when shame and relief collide. I sat beside her, holding her like I hadn't in years. Upstairs, I knew Paisley was listening, and part of me worried she'd think I was making the same mistake again. But deep down, I hoped she'd understand. This wasn't weakness. This was love with boundaries. The next week, Dylan moved back in, not as an owner reclaiming property, but as a daughter returning home with humility. She took the guest room. She cooked dinner. She asked before changing anything. Slowly, Frank came back too. First for a weekend, then for good. The custody battle faded. The house didn't get sold. The renovations stopped. The old colors returned. And every night, the kitchen smelled like apples again. One evening, Paisley came by. She stood at the doorway, watching Dylan help Frank with homework. She's different, Paisley said softly, quieter. She's learning, I said. The hard way. Paisley looked at me. I still don't know if I could have forgiven her like you did. I took her hand. That's okay. I didn't forgive her all at once. I forgave her piece by piece, with every tear, every apology, every quiet change. Outside, the wind rustled the apple trees, the same ones Lloyd had planted decades ago, still blooming, still standing, like us, broken in places, but growing again.